welcome back to my knitting podcast channel. Today I'm basically hopping onto the knitting podcast trend of talking about spring and summer knitting plans. Before I get started, I do want to introduce myself because this is something that I completely forgot to do last time. So my name is Juliette. I'm a PhD student in Cambridge in the UK. And I learned how to knit when I was 5. My grandmother taught me, and I never picked up on knitting garments until about last year, basically. My first garment was actually for my best friend of 14 years. I made her a really simple raglan jumper from a Rowan pattern, and yeah, I got the knitting bug basically from that. I mean, I was always knitting since I learned how to do it. Maybe not less so when I was a teen, but I picked it up more again at uni. I was actually at my uni's knitting society called Knit Sock with that same friend. And yeah, so ever since I picked up garment knitting about a year and a bit ago, I've been really obsessed with knitting, and so here I am. So yeah, I'm going to share some of the things that I've been thinking about knitting for the next few months. I do want to preface this by saying that summer knitting is probably my least favorite thing. I'm very much like an autumn winter gal, so I prefer knitting lots of big woolly jumpers much more than summer tops and whatnot. But I still want to keep knitting during this spring summer season, and I do have some ideas of things that I will still enjoy during that time. So here's me sharing all those plans with you today. So before I start, let me talk about what I'm wearing. So this is my magnum opus probably, which is my porcelain sweater, and it's knitted up in Drops Daisy, which I have some left over here, in the cobalt color for the contrast, and then the white is just their natural color, number 1. This jumper was so much fun to make, but I do need to make some modifications to it, and that will be one of my miscellaneous plans for the next few months. So I'll get to that a bit later. So I think I'm going to go in chronological order of the things that I want to do. So first of all, I've been really wanting to make a cumulus blouse. I know, I feel like every knitter makes one of those once. At least that's what it feels like from YouTube and Instagram. But this was further confirmed when my best friend from school and my uni friend, who also happens to be her boyfriend, gave me these wonderful balls of Camerose Midnight Soul, which is a great mohair alternative apparently, because it's a blend of baby alpaca, tencel, and merino. I know that Venetia from the Woolly Worker really enjoys this as a mohair alternative for people, especially if you're the type of person that can't really tolerate mohair against their skin. They got me 2 of each color. So the colors are Lys Poudre, which I think is soft powder, Lys Beige, soft beige, and Lys Brune. So the colors are, for the pinkish one, 9520, for the beige one, 9506, and the brown one is 9550. I think the 3 of them work really well together. So I was going to make a tri-colored cumulus blouse. And for my size, it calls for 7 balls of mohair held double. So since I have 6 of these from them, I bought an additional ball of this pink one, which honestly is my favorite color out of the 3, just so that I have enough for the cumulus blouse. But I might not, I don't know, Petite Knit tends to knit her things quite long on the body because I think she just prefers that look on her. Whereas I like my things a bit more cropped compared to her patterns. So I might not even need the 7th ball of this stuff. So yeah, really excited. I could actually show you the swatch that I knitted up. So this is my swatch of this stuff. So I did it in this order: beige, pink, brown. But I think I'll do pink, beige, brown. because I think the pink around the top of the body, the yoke, would look nicer in my opinion. But yeah, it's so soft. I really see what people mean by how it's like a really good mohair alternative. There's, at least like the way I'm feeling it right now, there's not a single itch factor. Right, and then the next plan, probably, I do want to preface this by saying that I tend to make tons of plans for knitting, but like I always only end up doing a few of those planned knits. And that's totally okay. The fun thing is like there's fun in planning and there's fun in knitting, and those can be two different aspects of the whole, knitting your own garments craft. So anyway, my next sort of plan is to knit up the Poppy Tea by Petite Knit. It's sounding quite Petite Knit heavy so far. This is 2 out of 3, let's just say that. So I was in Oxford a few weeks ago visiting my friend from uni over there, and I went to the Oxford yarn store because when you're in Oxford you just have to. It's such a wonderful store. So I really wasn't planning on picking up anything, but I got tempted because they've got such a good yarn selection over there. So I picked up for the Poppy Tea some Sandnes Garn Sunday, the Petite Knit collection in the color 6050, which I can't remember if it's like perfect baby blue eyes or something like that, but it's this wonderful dusty blue, which is so cute. And I picked this up because I've been really enjoying working with Sandnes Garn Sunday on my Maple Wrap test knit for Florence. So the Poppy Tea requires a DK yarn gauge, and since the Sandnes Sunday is a fingering weight, I was just going to hold them double. So I picked up 8 of these. I think I would really enjoy the Poppy Tea because I do enjoy that kind of cropped t-shirt look, and I'm also really excited about trying out the contiguous sleeve construction that that pattern has. So that'll be really nice. And I also kind of want to delve more into blues. So I've got this porcelain sweater, and I've got this dusty blue. I've been picking up a lot of blue lately. I've been wanting to kind of test that side of my winter color palette out. Because if you watched that, my previous podcast episode, I said that I was a deep winter. And I think deep winters have a lot of blue hues in their color palettes. Next up, in terms of spring-summer knitting plans, is that as we go into warmer weather, I really want to knit the mini mock neck tank. Now, ideally, I'm assuming that I'll really enjoy that pattern, both like the process of it, but also the finished object, because as I mentioned in my last podcast, that mini mock neck tank is really the sort of thing that I wear on a daily basis in the summer, because I have tops from high street fashion stores that are very similar cuts to that mini mock neck tank. So I've got this Fiber Fox yarn that's a merino, sorry, I'm looking for the merino blend. Fiber Fox yarn that I picked up at the East Anglia Yarn Festival. That's a merino yak nylon blend. Mentioned this in the last podcast. We'll definitely be doing a mini mock neck tank with it. And then I've got a few more balls of like summer yarns that I could also knit up in the mini mock neck tank. I got this wonderful skein of Market Town yarns. This is I got this through the new yarn subscription that you can get from Yarnworks, which is a shop based in Hadley in Suffolk. It's my knitting friend who has a car that I mentioned last time. We went there for our first knitting road trip thing. It's only an hour drive away from Cambridge, so that's why it was really nice to go up there. And so since then, I was on not a different yarn subscription from them, and I've switched over to their, house yarn subscription. So this is Market Town Yarns. So this is my first one. It's their March edition. And look at this. It reminds me of daffodils, like this. I've got daffodils in my house's garden and front patio, and it's so cute. I don't know if it's necessarily my color, but I'm willing to forego any sort of color analysis rule to just knit something up in this. I was saying I was chatting to a knitting friend on Instagram, saying how it would be almost a waste to have this just be a pair of socks, sorry. It's because this is technically a sock yarn. It's hold on, let me find. It is 85% merino, 15% nylon. So it makes for like quite a small content of nylon for a typical sock yarn. But apparently it's absolutely fine. But I'm thinking of minting this up in another mini mock neck tank. I think the stockinette on that pattern would really showcase the beautiful color. And for my size, I can get away with just one hank of 100 gram of this stuff. So that could be an idea. It might seem a bit boring, I don't know, to be knitting up the same pattern multiple times, but I'm very certain that tank top is going to be a staple piece, and it seems relatively quick to knit up because it's on fingering weight yarn but with 3.5mm needles. So I'm hoping that basically I'll just spend the summer knitting the tank out, or maybe just other, cropped tank top, bralette type of things. That's quite open to any sort of suggestions. I think I picked up at the East Anglia Yarn Festival the Helix bralette pattern by Harris Makes. She had a stall over there. So she makes really size inclusive patterns. And so yeah, she had a sample of the Helix crop top, and I really enjoyed it. So I might also knit that up because I have the pattern now as well. I've also got this Knitting for Olive Dusty Artichoke cotton merino, which I could also totally knit up into one of those cropped tops. Mini mock neck tank or Helix crop top. It's quite open to any sort of suggestions, but I do want to knit something up with this because I've had it since last summer. I picked this up from Knit Yarns, the shop, Double T, last summer, thinking I was going to knit up so many summer tops. Guess it didn't happen. More on that later. Finally, in terms of like concrete plans, so as I mentioned, from this porcelain sweater, it's not that I have leftovers, it's just I completely over purchased the number of contrast color yarn balls that I needed. I don't know, something must have happened when I was looking at the numbers because I just completely misread them and I ordered double what I needed. So I ended up with 2 of these beautiful Drop Stacey Cobalt yarns left over, and it's a pure non-superwash merino DK wool. So I was thinking, I just cast off My Little Secret Crop by Jessie Made. That was a project that I had started last summer and I just put aside because I got bored. Oh, nothing against Jessie Made. It was just purely me. I got bored of doing the straps, so I just put that aside and never came back to it. And I just finished it. I'll talk about that more in my next knitting podcast. But while trying that on, I was thinking, ooh, you know what would be great? It would be great to have that in blue. So it's perfect yarn for it. Jessie highly suggests My Little Secret Crop be a stash busting pattern, basically. So this is perfect because it's the right yarn for it. It's DK. I've got the right amount, I think. So yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully I can, like, basically I want to use up a bit more stash. I think that's the general vibe. So I got, you know, I want to use this up from last summer. I want to use this from this winter, left over from this, like, erroneously purchased yarn, essentially. Right. So these are like the plans that I have in terms of what sort of patterns I want to make. And then I also do want to mention that another part of my spring-summer knitting plans is to finish stuff off. What I mean by that is that I have two projects that I started last summer. I have two projects that I started last summer that I just never finished off, and I just really would like them to be finished for when the warmer weather arrives. The first one, I mean, I've seen quite a lot of YouTubers mention, not just on YouTube actually, also on Instagram, mention how almost dreadful this pattern is. But this is my Cumulus tee. And I mean, it's wonderful and it's also a pain at the same time. Wonderful and it's awful at the same time. Sorry, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this. I'm knitting it up, this Cumulus tee, in knitting for olive pure silk. And it's a very splitty yarn. A lot of people have mentioned this. And it's knit on 3mm needles. So it's taking a lot of time. I felt like I was knitting on this for forever last summer, but clearly I wasn't because I also had like multiple projects cast on at the same time. It's looking a bit wrinkly because I've just bunched it up, stashed it away, and kind of forgot about it for the whole autumn winter season. But look, I mean, it'll be such a perfect staple, and I've done quite a bit, I guess. I've got like what? I've done 15 centimeters of the body. I want maybe another 15. I don't want the t-shirt to be too long anyway. And then just the sleeves, which apparently takes no time at all. Oh, and the I-cord. But I think it will be such a wonderful finished object, but I'm really not. I haven't enjoyed the process of it. But I have the yarn. You know, it's cast on. I'm not going to forget, so I need to just crack on with it. So another thing that I need to get on with is this wonderful crescendo camisole. So this is a pattern by the Knit Pearl Girl. And I actually was one of the test knitters for this pattern. And Sophie from the Knit Pearl Girl only required out of the testers that you finish the yoke, do a little bit of the body just to give an idea of the shape, and do the I-cord edge and the straps. So I fulfilled those requirements as a test knitter, obviously. But because there was no expectation to finish the body or the whole garment for the deadline of the test knit, my brain just procrastinated it immediately. So as soon as I was done with this test knit, I was like, cool, fulfilled my requirements. I'm going to move on to other projects. Which is a shame because I could have finished it. The body is in the round on 4mm needles with 2 fingering weight yarns held double. So I probably could have finished this in a few days. But I just didn't. And then when the summer was over, there was no incentive for me to pick it up because I was like, now the warmer days are over. I only have to start this when summer's creeping up. But no, I need to not do that. So yeah, during the spring, I'm gonna finish that one off as well. I was knitting this up in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino as well, in the shade Oatmeal. And look, I don't know if this color does any favor to my complexion. We'll see. But I've been thinking about the fact that even if a project is not the right color in the end, it's not the end of the world. You can always over dye it. So keeping things quite relaxed in that regard does make me want to finish things more. Because there have been occasionally sometimes where I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to like this color. And so I'd kind of procrastinate on the project. But then when I do finish it, I've never had a time so far where I've been like, oh, I really hate this color. I've just been like, oh, okay, it's actually fine. So I just worn the finished object. But also, if it ever did happen that I didn't like the color, that's totally fine. I can over dye my project, right? I need to be a bit more like open-minded in that regard. Another knitting related plan that I have for this spring-summer season is to release a pattern for my knitted vest, which I think I'm going to call the PhD vest. So I mentioned this in the last episode, how I was knitting up this self-drafted vest based on a thrifted vest that I picked up in Paris a year ago. I have been really wanting to write my own pattern and publish one, and I'm writing this pattern up to have 16 sizes. So I'm currently knitting my own sample. All the pattern grading is done, the size grading, and the pattern has been written up as a draft. So when I'm done with my sample, I'll take some pictures and I'll send out a call for testers. Hopefully I get at least one person per size signing up for testing. But I really wanted to make a point with this pattern, that my first pattern with the size range, that anyone can make a size inclusive if they wanted to. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I think it will be a really interesting experience. So we'll see how much of it I enjoy, how much of the process of writing a pattern, publishing a pattern is enjoyable to me. But yeah, I think it will be a really nice experiment, and I really want to get this out by, late spring or so, because at least with English weather, I think that's like good time to be wearing vests and just a t-shirt or something, or a blouse underneath. One final thing I want to do with the next few months in terms of knitting is that this is not really like summer or spring knitting, but more like preparing for autumn winter, which I know is like really thinking ahead, but I need to tell these things to myself because I tend to procrastinate these things a lot. But anyway, so my porcelain sweater, right, looking cute right now, very nice, but super cropped. Like, I didn't plan for this because my gauge was off, essentially. So I also got, and not just my gauge that was off, I also got lazy with the ribbing. And so this is only about, 4 centimeters of ribbing, when really I should have done like 8 centimeters. So not only is the body a bit too short, but my sleeves are way too short, once again, out of laziness. So I think when I was knitting this up, I just really wanted this to be done, because it was definitely my most difficult pattern I had done so far. And when I say most difficult, it was relative to anything I ever done, but like the pattern itself really wasn't that hard. I think I just really wanted this to be done, and therefore I made everything a bit too short. So when I raise my arm, you could see how short the sleeve is, and even if my arm is down, it doesn't even reach past my watch. So this is like, I'd say shorter than bracelet length, because look, my bracelets are here and it's like above that. So I'm probably not going to be able to wear this much in the next coming weeks, because the weather's getting warmer here. And so I essentially want to do these sweater surgeries before the next time I'm going to be wearing this. So assuming that's going to be autumn, winter. So yeah, I'll add length to the sleeves and to the body. For the body, I'm thinking of extending this stockinette white bit and then doing longer ribbing, so that my jumper hits just at the largest part of my hips. And then for the sleeves, I'll just pick up just before the ribbing starts, do some stockinette and then do some grafting to join the ribbed cuff back to the sleeve, because there's no way I'm doing the ribbing again. I think, I have a love-hate relationship with ribbing. It looks so nice, but it's just a pain to do. And I said that to a knitting friend at one of our knit nights, and she responded with, I have a hate relationship with ribbing. And I really, that resonated quite a bit. So this rounds up my spring-summer knitting plans, or objectives, let's say. I hope you enjoyed this and you got some inspiration out of it. I realized that, I don't know if it's like, it seems less than most people, less than other people's plans, or more than most people's plans. But I do want to highlight that obviously this is based on my goals and based on my speed of knitting. I think I'm completely overestimating how much I can knit over this time, but just having a rough idea of what I want to make with starch yarn, I think, is going to be really helpful moving forward. So I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully see you in the next knitting podcast. Bye!